Welcome to another deep dive. This time we're going to be exploring the world of Oz again.
Okay.
But not the Oz you might think. We're diving into Son of a Witch by Gregory Maguire.
Ah, okay. The second book in the Wicked Year series.
That's right. So if you've sent in excerpts from this book, you obviously already know
Right.
about the world of Oz. We've got witches and wizards and talking animals and all that.
Absolutely.
But Maguire, he flips the script. Instead of following, Dorothy and her adventures,
Yeah.
we follow Liir,
Oh, yeah.
Elphaba's son.
Oh, wow. So we're getting the story from the perspective of the Wicked Witch's son.
Exactly. And we're going to see what Oz is like after the ruby slippers have clicked their last.
I am so ready for this.
Okay, well, let's start by unpacking Lear's story.
Okay.
So we first meet him as a young boy, being raised by Elphaba's former nanny.
Oh.
After, the whole...
Yeah, after the events of Wicked, yeah.
Yeah. And then, get this,
Okay.
he ends up traveling with Dorothy for a while.
Really? What?
Yeah. Can you imagine them? This unlikely duo?
I mean, Dorothy and the son of the Wicked Witch.
It's wild.
It's quite a twist.
But it's a really clever way that Maguire uses
okay.
to introduce us to this new, more jaded Oz.
Ah, so Dorothy's not the bright-eyed innocent anymore.
Nope. She's older now. She's seen some things. And her casual dismissal of royalty
Okay.
that hints at the political tensions that are simmering beneath the surface.
Well, so we're already seeing that there's more to this Oz than meets the eye.
Right. Like, remember the first book, Wicked?
Uh-huh.
We saw how the wizard was manipulating events.
Right, he was pulling the strings.
Exactly. And now we're seeing the consequences of that manipulation play out.
Like, Oz is going through these political growing pains, and Dorothy's just kind of over it.
Exactly. She's done with the drama.
Right.
And then there's Liir, who's caught in the middle of it all.
Yeah, where does he fit in?
He travels with Dorothy.
Okay.
He encounters that mountain grite.
Oh, the mountain grite. I remember him. Obsessed with collecting things.
Yeah. All that stuff.
So many trinkets.
And then Liir even gets captured by the shadowy organization called the Skro.
So it's a wild introduction to Oz, this world that's both familiar and kind of unsettling.
Right. A little creepy.
Definitely.
So much for a peaceful childhood, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. So what happens next?
Well, things don't get any easier for Liir when he ends up in the Emerald City.
I can imagine.
He's trying to figure out where he belongs,
Right.
find his place.
Find himself.
But he's constantly being judged for being Elphaba's son.
Oh, I bet. Carrying that weight around.
Yeah. And so he ends up working in South Stairs.
South Stairs.
Basically the underbelly of Oz.
Oh, so not the glamorous Emerald City we imagine.
Not at all. We're talking poverty and crime and brutal conditions.
So it's a stark contrast to like the glittering image of Oz.
Absolutely. And the cruelty that Liir witnesses there.
Yeah.
Maguire uses that to expose the systemic rot at the heart of Oz,
It's not just random acts of violence. It's like it's built into the system itself.
Right. It's a society built on inequality and exploitation.
And Lear's experiences there, they foreshadow the larger political turmoil that's brewing.
So we're seeing this contrast between the surface image of Oz and then this grim reality underneath.
And then what? How does Liir react to all of this?
Well, that contrast becomes even more stark when he joins the Seventh Spear.
The Seventh Spear?
This elite military unit.
Ah, okay.
Like he's trying to prove himself, escape his mother's shadow, but it leads him down a dark path.
Because that's when he participates in the raid on Bengda, right?
Exactly. That quadling community.
That's such an intense part of the book.
I know. It's so visceral. You really feel the weight of that violence, the emotional toll it takes on Liir.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting. I think
Okay.
the raid isn't just an action scene.
No.
It's a turning point for Liir.
Okay.
He goes in believing he's fighting for the right side, but then what he witnesses, the brutality, the destruction,
It's senseless.
it just shatters his illusions.
Yeah. He's starting to see the cracks in the facade.
The hypocrisy.
And it makes you question who decides who the enemy is.
Right, right. And what are we willing to sacrifice in the name of justice?
That's a big question.
It is. And Liir is grappling with it.
Yeah. It seems like he's starting to question everything he thought he knew.
Absolutely. He's disillusioned, deeply affected by what he's seen and done.
So it's not surprising that he eventually flees the Seventh Spear,
Okay.
seeks refuge back in Kiamoko.
Kiamoko, his childhood home.
Right. But even there, he finds decay and despair
It's like the rot is spreading.
everywhere. From the Emerald City to this village, nothing's untouched.
So that safe haven isn't so safe anymore.
Nope. And it's there that he learns about the Conference of the Birds.
The Conference of the Birds.
Yeah, this gathering of all these different birds
Okay.
who are trying to address the growing threat of, wait for it, dragons.
What? Dragons? Like fire-breathing, flying dragons?
The real deal. And they're not just a random threat.
No.
They symbolize the Emperor's tyranny,
Okay.
his use of violence and fear to maintain control.
So the birds represent, like, the natural world,
Yeah.
the balance that's being disrupted.
Right. And the conference is their way of trying to deal with this crisis.
Like Oz's version of the United Nations.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But it's more than a political meeting.
Okay.
It's a desperate plea for help.
Yeah, they're being terrorized.
And they see Liir as a human with a connection to magic
Right.
as their only hope.
So Liir goes from running from his past to potentially being a leader.
I know, what a twist.
It's a big responsibility.
It is. And just when you think things can't get more complicated,
Oh.
he meets Candle.
Candle. Tell me about Candle.
Oh, she's such an enigma.
Okay.
This young woman living in an abandoned mill
Okay.
who nurses Liir back to health after he's attacked by those dragons, remember?
Right. The dragons?
They spend some time together at Apple Press Farm, and then she announces that she's pregnant.
Pregnant. Wow. And is the father.
That's the mystery. Maguire doesn't tell us.
So it could be Liir, could be someone else.
Exactly. And that unanswered question hangs over their relationship.
Yeah. That's going to add some tension.
It's like just when he finds a safe haven, another storm is brewing.
Always something, right?
Always something. And that storm intensifies when Liir returns to the Emerald City
Okay.
to seek Glinda's help.
Ah. Glinda the Good.
But he finds her in mourning.
Ah.
Her husband has died under mysterious circumstances,
no.
and a rebellion has erupted in Coir,
Coir, the Quadling city that was attacked.
the one and the same. So talk about bad timing.
It seems like everything is spiraling out of control.
It is. The rebellion is a direct result of the Emperor's oppression.
And it signals a much bigger conflict brewing.
Oh yeah, this is far from over.
And Liir's caught right in the middle of it.
He's trying to help the birds.
Okay.
He's dealing with Candle's pregnancy,
All right.
and now there's this full-blown rebellion.
It's a lot for one person to handle.
It is. And he's still wrestling with his own issues.
About his past.
About his mother. About who he is and what he stands for.
A lot of heavy stuff.
It's a lot. But that's what makes Liir's journey so compelling
Yeah, he's not a perfect hero. He's flawed.
and conflicted.
And constantly questioning himself.
But even with all that, there's this core of decency in him.
Mm-hmm.
A desire to do what's right.
That keeps him moving forward.
Exactly. And we'll explore that further in part 2 of our deep dive into Son of a Witch.
Looking forward to it. Welcome back to our deep dive into Son of a Witch.
Okay, so last time we left off
Mm-hmm.
with Liir facing a whole heap of trouble, the birds needing his help, Candle pregnant,
Right?
and Oz is basically on the brink of war.
It's a lot to process,
It is.
even for someone who's half animal.
Right. And even with all this chaos going on around him,
Yeah.
Maguire doesn't let Liir off the hook internally.
What do you mean?
Well, as Liir journeys back to Kiamako, he's haunted by all these memories of Elphaba,
Oh, so he's still comparing himself to her.
constantly. Like he's trying to measure up to this legendary figure, but always falling short.
That's got to be tough.
It is. And I think Maguire uses those memories
Okay.
to show how complicated their relationship was. You know?
Right. It wasn't simple.
No. Like we see glimpses of Elphaba's tenderness.
Oh, like when...
Like when she saves that infant monkey, Chistry.
Oh, yeah, I remember that part.
And it makes you wonder, was Elphaba really that wicked?
Right. Or is Liir romanticizing the past?
Maybe a bit of both. But I think what's really tormenting Liir
Yeah.
is this question of whether she truly loved him.
That's a heavy question to carry.
It is. And that question becomes even more poignant
Okay.
when he arrives at Apple Press Farm and finds Candle.
Very pregnant, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. And his immediate reaction is to accuse her of being with someone else.
That's telling.
It is. It shows his insecurities.
And his struggle to accept responsibility.
Right. He's not ready to be a father.
I mean, he's still figuring out who he is himself.
Exactly. And Candle's just quietly accepting the situation.
Yeah, she's not making any demands.
No. It's like she's mirroring Elphaba's unconditional love.
But in a completely different way.
Right. And that contrast is what makes their relationship so interesting.
Okay. I see that.
Candle's the opposite of Elphaba in so many ways,
Right.
but she provides a similar grounding force for Liir.
She's not trying to change him.
No, she accepts him, flaws and all.
It's a kind of love he's probably never experienced before.
And it forces him to confront his own fears.
So while they're at the farm, does he learn anything more about what's happening in Oz?
Oh yeah, things are getting worse.
Of course they are.
Glinda's husband is dead,
What?
and the rebellion in Choir is gaining momentum.
So it's like the world is collapsing around him.
And he feels powerless to stop it,
He keeps saying he can't fly.
that he doesn't have Elphaba's magic,
He feels like he's failing everyone.
including himself.
But remember, he's always been underestimated. He's Elphaba's son, yes, but he's also a product of her love.
However flawed that love may have been,
He has a strength that's hidden.
a strength that comes from his empathy.
And his sense of justice.
He's like a diamond in the rough.
just waiting to be polished.
And his journey back to the Emerald City,
Yeah.
that's the beginning of that polishing process.
So what happens when he gets back to the city?
Well, he arrives just as it's under attack.
Oh no, so he walks right into the chaos.
Right into it. The rebellion is at a fever pitch.
And he's not just observing, is he?
No, he's looking for Glinda,
He knows she's the key.
to understanding what's happening and how to help.
He's taking initiative.
But first, he has an interesting encounter with the
With-
Scarecrow.
Oh, the Scarecrow?
Remember him?
Of course. Dorothy's companion.
So what's he like now?
Well, he's changed.
How so?
He's more cynical. I can imagine. He's seen the dark side of Oz.
And it's disillusioned him.
But he still has that sharp wit.
And he's willing to help Liir. He helps him get into South Stairs.
South Stairs. But why does Liir want to go back there?
That's where Nora was last seen.
Nor his childhood friend.
Exactly. So even in all this chaos, there are still these glimmers of hope.
Those moments of human connection.
Exactly. And the Scarecrow's help is crucial.
Because South Stairs is a truly awful place.
It represents the worst of the Emperor's cruelty.
A place where innocent people are tortured.
Liir sees the depths of that depravity.
And it strengthens his resolve to fight back.
It's like he's finally seeing the world for what it is.
The good and the bad.
And he's choosing to fight for the good.
Even if it means risking his own safety.
And his search for Nor leads him to a shocking discovery.
What does he find?
He finds evidence that she escaped.
So she's alive.
It seems so.
Yeah.
But it raises even more questions.
Like, how did she get out?
And who helped her?
It's like solving one mystery just creates more mysteries.
Right. And then Liir has this encounter with Under Mayor Chide.
The one who oversaw Nor's imprisonment?
The very same. And Chide is a perfect example of how corrupt Oz's leaders have become
He's more interested in covering up his own mistakes.
than helping Liir find his friend,
He's part of the problem.
a cog in the machine of oppression.
And Liir is starting to realize he needs to dismantle that machine.
If he wants to make real change,
But how can he do that?
well, it's a daunting task, but he's not alone.
Does someone offer to help him?
Remember Shell.
Shell, the guard from Lear's first visit to South Stairs.
Yep, he shows up again.
Wow, what's he up to?
Well, he offers to help Liir, but his motives are definitely questionable.
I bet. Shell always seems to be looking out for himself.
That's true. But there's a hint of conscience in him.
Like he might actually regret some of his actions.
Maybe. And his information about Nor's escape is valuable.
What does he tell Liir?
He says someone with a connection to Kiamoko helped her,
Kiamoko, that ties back to the drawing Liir found.
the one Elphaba hid.
It's all starting to connect.
Like there's a bigger conspiracy going on.
something deeper than just the Emperor's tyranny.
And it seems to be linked to Elphaba's past.
Wow, so Lear's even more determined to find the truth now.
Absolutely. But before he can investigate further, he witnesses Chide order the execution of a piglet.
What? Why?
Just to prove a point.
That's horrible.
It is. It's a brutal display of power.
And how casual cruelty can be within a corrupt system.
And it's a turning point for Liir.
He can't just stand by anymore,
No. He lashes out at Chide.
releasing all that pent-up rage.
And that's when something amazing happens.
What?
He remembers he can fly.
He flies, without a broom.
Just like that. Soaring above the darkness of South Stairs.
It's like he's literally rising above his limitations.
Breaking free from the past.
Embracing his power.
He's becoming the hero Oz needs.
But his journey isn't over yet.
Nope. He still has a lot to figure out.
And we'll see what happens next in part 3 of our deep dive.
Okay, so we left off with Liir soaring above the Emerald City.
Yeah, free from South Stairs.
But still in the thick of it all, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
He rediscovers his ability to fly
Right.
in this, like, crazy moment of desperation.
Pure instinct.
It's like a reflex, but it's not like...
It doesn't solve everything.
No.
Like, he's still so hung up on Elphaba's legacy.
Right.
Wondering if he'll ever be as powerful.
Measure up.
Exactly.
I mean, he keeps saying he can't fill her shoes.
Doesn't have her magic.
You can just feel how much he wants to live up to her.
Yeah, but also how trapped he feels.
Like he's in her shadow.
It's such a classic struggle.
Isn't it? Finding your own identity
Yeah.
when you're, like, living in the shadow of a legend.
And what's so brilliant about Maguire is that he shows us
Okay.
that Liir's power isn't about, the spells and the pronouncements.
Right.
It's about his empathy.
It's about his heart.
Yeah, his willingness to fight for what's right.
Even when he feels totally inadequate.
And that journey back to Kiamoko,
Even though it's prompted by this, like, primal urge.
almost like he's running away.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like a turning point for him. Like
Right.
he's going back to his roots.
To figure out his future,
Exactly. And then he has that encounter with Nanny.
which is kind of bittersweet.
It is. But it gives him this new perspective on Elphaba.
What do you mean?
Well, she tells him about Elphaba's love for him.
Okay.
Her struggles, her moments of tenderness.
Like she was a real person.
Right, not just this icon.
Or embodiment of wickedness.
Exactly. And that allows Liir to start forgiving her.
And himself.
Yeah, for not being her.
It's like he realizes he doesn't have to follow her path.
To be powerful.
Or to make a difference.
So he's letting go of the past.
But then there's this whole thing with the Conference of the Birds.
Ah, yes.
At first he's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, he dismisses it.
But something draws him back.
Is it duty?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's got to be more than just duty.
Okay.
I mean, there's the hope of finding but there's also this growing sense of responsibility.
Okay.
Like he can't just sit back and watch everything fall apart.
He's seen what happens when people do nothing.
And the conference itself,
Yeah.
it's like this mini Oz, isn't it?
All those different bird species.
Each with their own perspective on the crisis.
It's brilliant how Maguire shows the diversity of Oz.
But also the challenges of collective action.
Right, you've got the eagles and the geese and the crows.
All united by their fear of the dragons.
But finding common ground,
that's not easy.
just like in our world.
Right. Everyone has an opinion, but getting everyone to agree.
That's the hard part.
And Liir, even though he's hesitant,
Mm-hmm.
he starts to see the point of the conference.
Okay.
That he needs allies.
He can't do it alone.
And then there's Trism.
The dragon tamer.
What a character, right?
He's such an interesting mix of privilege and rebellion.
Like, shaped by the Emperor's power.
Yeah.
But also...
He and Liir, they're kind of two sides of the same coin.
Right. Complicated relationships with their parents.
Both feel like outsiders,
And they both want justice.
even if they go about it in different ways.
And when they raid the Emperor's dragon stables,
Such a bold move.
they're basically saying, we're not afraid of you.
It's a real turning point.
They strike a blow against the Emperor.
But now they're targets.
And so they have to flee.
Yeah, they go on this crazy journey.
That really tests them.
But even then, there are these moments of kindness.
Like what?
Like that old woman at the inn.
Oh, yeah.
Anson B. and Bernie.
Those characters are like these little beacons of hope.
Yeah, they remind us that even in dark times,
There's still good in the world.
and those small acts of kindness,
They can have a ripple effect.
and that's what Liir's starting to understand.
His power isn't just about magic.
It's about connection,
Building relationships.
inspiring others to fight for what's right,
And then they arrive at the Monterey,
seeking refuge,
but they end up in another battle.
protecting the Monts from the Emperor's forces.
It's their last stand.
And Liir, he flies again.
But it's different this time.
Not about escape.
It's about purpose.
He's making a choice to act.
To fight.
And it's not just about defeating the Emperor.
It's about recognizing that we're all connected.
Our choices have consequences.
That evil isn't this outside force.
It's something inside each of us
A potential for darkness.
that we have to resist.
Yeah, and Liir taking in that orphan swan princess's child.
Yeah, that's such a powerful image.
It's a symbol of hope,
A commitment to the future.
a belief in kindness,
It's a beautiful ending.
to a really complex story.
And it leaves us with so much to think about.
Like, where do we see evil in our world?
What are we doing to fight it?
What small acts of kindness can we do today?
To make things a little bit better.
Those are the questions.
And that's what I love about great storytelling.
it makes you think.
It challenges us and inspires us.
It helps us grow.
So with that, we'll bring our deep dive into Son of a Witch to a close.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening.